Zoom,
Don't forget to record.
typical.
Okay, we're just talking about the town hall meadow and a proposed, stormwater project there. Okay, now my computer is working, so.
Is this the same meadow with the solar fields?
Yes, the solar panels out here out back. When it was, purchased by the town, Vermont Land Trust provided funding. And there was a conservation easement placed on it that allowed only for, activities that typically be allowed on conserved land, as well as potentially development of, some affordable housing. There was like a carve out that said affordable housing could be built there on upland areas. And so all that is to say that we have a management plan for it. It was last updated in 2019. I'm trying to pull up the exact language for it right now, but it's the management plan basically says it was created by the Conservation Commission with, in consultation with Public Works, because Public Works is responsible for day-to-day maintenance. They take care of the mowing schedule, making sure the access is maintained, things like that. That the Conservation Commission is responsible for the overall maintenance of the parcel, and so because of that, when I heard that a project might go on there, I thought the Conservation Commission probably would know about it, probably should discuss it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for that long-winded answer. I didn't have my notes up.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, if we have some form of delegated responsibility, it's odd that it wasn't either raised with
We're talking
conservation.
about
Yeah, it's, I think, from my perspective, the Conservation Commission and Public Works have worked in parallel rather than in collaboration largely, in the past, and some of that is for efficiency, but I think some of that is just because of a lack of effort to make sure that we are working together, and I think that's something we should be doing better, especially on, on a parcel where we just have primitive trails and Public Works is just plowing a parking lot. There's not a whole lot that we need to coordinate on. It's like, try to keep the parking lot clean, let us know if there's an issue. But on a parcel like this, where there's potential for things like solar projects and stormwater projects and, potential expansion of parking lots, and there's just a lot more going on where we might need to work with each other, mowing schedules. So for that reason, I'd like to recommend that, I was gonna recommend that perhaps we should ask David Maroney to open dialogue with Public Works, see if they would be interested in meeting with us about the project to brief us, that type of thing. Looks like you have one of the site plans up.
Tim and Eric, are you seeing the site plan there?
Yes,
Great.
this site plan is, I see it's on the A&R website. Is this put together by an engineer contracted by Public Works?
Yeah,
Yes, so yeah, I don't have any privileged information about this project, but directed by the WCC, happy to reach out to learn more. This is simply from the permit notice database. So this is from the information that was submitted to A&R. This is prepared by Du Bois and King and as consultants for the town.
so the part that home in the upper right is where I live.
Yeah.
And if the map were to continue going up, you can see the solar panels there. So we are sitting roughly above where it says TRA1. That is
We could just go walk around there.
where the town hall is. So it's
So-
basically directly behind us.
Help me with the contours here. So what stormwater, what land is draining into this area? Is it the land off of 89?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
So VTran, all right.
I think it's a great recommendation to happenstance brings you the notice, but if it's under the title and jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, I definitely think we should get briefed on what the project is. So, Dave, if you want to just, if you wouldn't mind, reach out to
Sure.
Public Works and get a briefing on it, and if it rises to the level of you think you can give us an update in the next conservation planner update, or bring someone from Public Works to our meeting for a discussion about it. You know,
You know,
Great.
sorry, I'm trying to raise my hand on the screen.
yeah, go ahead, Eric.
It's still early. Hi, no. I think this might be a good opportunity to, coffee hasn't kicked in yet, to just invite Christine or whoever the stormwater person is now in anyway. We haven't had someone from Public Works in I feel like years. So maybe it's a good opportunity to just invite Public Works in to learn more, help us learn more about this project, and just, as Reed suggested, maybe find ways to work in a more collaborative way, as opposed to in parallel.
I did finally find that it's the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board who is responsible for managing the conservation easement, even though Vermont Land Trust was the one who provided the funding. And that's, I think, because it was for conservation and it was for affordable housing. So the easement, they were, from everything I've seen, they are supposed to be provided advance notice of any proposed changes in activities or projects. So I did place a call to them to find out, hey, did you know that this project was going on? Things like that. I have not received a call back.
Okay.
So,
Can I just build on what Eric suggested about like a broader stormwater? I think like connected to that, one of the things that we very briefly talked about is the fact that like we should as a town probably be thinking about flood resilience in a very different way than we have been. And I do think that that's a Conservation Commission thing. I also think it's like many other departments thing, and like could this be part of a facilitated discussion around flood resilience in the next 10, 20, 30 years? We do have like areas in town that are susceptible, and there's like these opportunities for conservation to support flood resilience. And I think like the last time we did the ERF prioritization, we didn't use that as a criteria. Which like if I could go back in time, I would advocate for. Yeah, so I just a note that like I think we're not thinking about, and it's not just us, it's like collectively.
For the town.
Well, and like
People.
as Northern New England.
Yeah.
That is our climate reality, and we should be talking about it and planning for it.
Thank
so
you.
one question, to Reed to kind of close this comment, does this feel more like it's, okay, we learned about this, we want to get briefed on it, we want to improve communication, or is there concern that this project might be in violation of the conservation easement in some way?
I think we want to check because we are responsible for the overall management of the parcel. I think we want to check to make sure that everybody who's supposed to be party to any project knows about it, and that we've had a conversation about it. In an ideal world, Public Works would have come to the Conservation Commission and said, hey, you guys are responsible for this parcel, we have a proposed project, we want to run it by you before we submit stuff. That's the relationship I would like to get to. But because we didn't have that, I don't know whether the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board even knows about the project, and they're supposed to ahead of time. My personal opinion is it seems like a place that is already providing significant natural filtration and infiltration. Having lived there, I mean, we have a lot of water flow going through the soils and not much surface runoff. So it seems like a strange place to put a project, but I know that the town needs to do projects for a plan and it needs to be on town land. So I think there might just be a bit of a forced issue here in terms of the site, but so I'm not necessarily saying that we should be trying to do something about this project, but I do think we're responsible for the parcel. We should make sure it's everything's good. And I think it starts the longer conversation that Eric brought up, which is maybe we should be proactively talking with Public Works about all of our coordination.
Got it. Thank you. That's helpful for framing the conversation.
I know we need to move on with the agenda,
I'll be right back.
but you have that topo map. I just want to be clear what we were looking at. That's basically a big pit that they're proposing to build for water retention, and then that, it looks like a road,
Access road, yeah.
access road off to the right. So it's basically a permanent access road for like a, what you would see in like a subdivision type development. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess
you gotta keep quick.
I would be curious to hear a lot more now that we're really diving into it and understand this isn't actually on the agenda, but I'd be curious to hear a lot more about this project. And why exactly, as Reed was pointing out, why it's necessary. I assume this is town dollars that are going into this project. And I would, definitely like to know where the water is going now that it will not be, where it'll be prevented from flowing to after this project is in place. Because it does seem like there's a lot of infrastructure here that may not be, at least with just looking around on Google Maps and what we know locally, there doesn't seem like a huge need for all this.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to move on.
Yeah.
But Dave, I
I need
think
more information before we discuss.
would appreciate an update. Possible
I
meeting.
mean, I can say briefly, I don't know that it's clear if this is a permanent road. There is I believe there is a pipe that runs off of the highway right here, which is part of the siting of it. And it's worth noting that this is proposed as a gravel wetland, which is not meant to hold standing water. So a couple of notes about that project, but I will seek more information.
Great, thanks. Okay, so let's move to the minutes. I just wanted to note that there was a little bit of, on a couple of the, present, not present. It's noted that Lynn was in attendance as members present, and I'm sorry, Lynn was present, but Tim was absent. But then in the motion past paragraphs, it all said Lynn Blevins not present. I think it was Lynn and Tim both not present.
So I can clarify, and please feel free.
Right, you weren't here last.
I signed it late,
Oh,
Yeah,
like
please-
at the
please.
very end for the executive session, but I caught the second half of the
okay,
Lincoln Road.
thanks.
Feel free to, if you'd like a different approach, or if you feel it's not necessary, but I can clarify it, and just share screen.
Mhm. Yeah, when you have people coming later, leaving early.
Right, yeah.
I note it.
Yeah, so that's just my way of noting, so, at the, oops, is this showing? Eric and Tim, what are you seeing?
I see the minutes.
Oh, you're seeing the minutes, okay, great. Let me
Yep.
go with that. Okay, so this has just been my way of noting, at the top is members present, which doesn't make any note of whether folks came in after the start or left before the end. And members absent, so for votes, I've been putting, generally, if I said motion passed 5-0, the assumption would be that, okay, well, everyone voted. But there's 6 people in attendance, so this is just my way of noting, Lynn was not present, Lynn was present for the meeting, but not present for this vote. And then the same at the end.
Should be
Where Lynn
noted,
was present, but Kim was not present.
Understood, okay.
So,
which I have to do that again today, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
happy to, if that's confusing, I'm totally.
You know what?
happy to
Now that you
read
explained it,
out, Or
Now that you explained it,
Presented
I get it, it's
okay.
fine, I was just confused, so.
I could say not present for a vote, if that is. Sure.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Make it more explicit, sure, thanks. Okay, other than that, I didn't have any comments on the minutes.
I'll move approval of the minutes as drafted.
Great, thanks, Reed.
Second,
Kim, seconds, all in favor of approving the minutes without amendment?
Aye.
Excellent, approved.
Gravity or
We'll note that, Tim abstained, he was not present at the last meeting. Otherwise, it was 6-0. And just like that, we're making time back on the agenda, which is good.
Can I delay us? Can
Yes.
I eat into the agenda? Did we talk about the vote yet? Did we all come in and go, woo?
That's next.
That's next.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't wanna.
Very early for that.
We're waiting on the big woo.
Kim's ready to celebrate the win.
Yeah.
I was gonna like bust in and be like, yeah, and then I was like, oh, I'm late. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
I'm waiting to celebrate Kim's triumphant ABCC dialogue.
Oh my god.
That was hilarious.
So that we can talk about.
Sorry. Okay, well, defer at a later time.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll save that one for the end of the executive session. Okay, so it passed by an even larger margin than last time. By my recollection, it was 1,835 votes in favor and something like close to 500 opposed. I was just doing a quick comparison to last year's results, and we improved. Our margin increased, which is amazing. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
seems
we
like,
will.
just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, it seems like we had roughly the same voter turnout as last year. Does that sound right? Based on what you were just saying, Dave?
It looked to me like it was a little higher. It looked like there was, I think that maybe like a couple hundred more people turned out. Because our total vote passage last time was 1,500. And now it's 1,800. So
Yep.
300 more people voted in favor.
The library only passed by like 50 votes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was tight.
very tight.
Yeah.
And only like
9%.
6,000 total people voted for the school budget. I was like, what is like, how do we get voter turnout higher?
I know, yeah.
Did you know Australia has like 99% voter turnout? They do it on a Saturday and they give out free hot dogs afterwards. They're called democracy sausages. Like we can do
That
this
is awesome.
This is achievable. We can do it.
Yeah. So,
So now's your opportunity for a woo.
woo! Absolutely. So,
Alright.
another successful passage. I think we should revisit some of the language. It is, I'll just say it up front, like I was wrestling with this last night. The select board told Reed and I that they would love to have this noticed to the citizens every year for the next 50 years. I think that is insane.
Yes.
Insanity, insane.
I don't think that's a great
I
strategy.
don't think that's a great strategy. I just think it's an annoyance, if you are expecting your vote. I mean, even if they support it, it's just,
There were a lot of things on the ballot yesterday.
yeah, like, it's kind of amazing that everything passed in the context of everything that was put out there.
Having grown up in Massachusetts, I was like, haha, our ballots are so small and cute and short.
Not anymore. I mean, I'll just be a little frank in my assessment, which is that I think the select board needs to occasionally make some decisions and not just pass every hard decision on to voters. I mean, but I said that when I lived in California and they did.
How'd that go?
Not so good. California still puts everything out to referendum and it's an absolute catastrophe as a result. I really do think that we should approach this over the summer as the next time this goes out to vote. And Eric was very clear with voters on Monday night. This is a 1-year authorization. It's like, okay. So I think we should talk this summer about a multi-year ballot warning that makes it clear that we're gonna fund this for like 5 to 10 years. And we should bring that to the select board in the summer.
Plenty of time for
Right,
consults and.
right, exactly. Let them cogitate on that as they need to. But it clearly is popular and it's clearly, I think, an annoyance to have so many articles consistently showing up again and again on a ballot. That's my thought. That's the sort of, I think we've got the wind at our sails though, so that's great. And it, you know, and it makes our next topic of ERF active strategy, I think, far more relevant, because if the town is interested in this commission to oversee the use of these funds, we need to have an active strategy, and we should honestly look at what South Burlington does to sort of advertise what its plans are and what its successes are, you know, as they do for the trails system. I see Eric had his hand up.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I was actually forgetting what our next agenda item was, but that's pretty much exactly what I was gonna say is I agree with you 100%, and we need to start working on demonstrating how these funds can and will be used in the future to justify keeping it as part or making it formally part of the town budget.
Great, thanks, Eric. Any other thoughts on the passage of the ballot initiative?
Well, thank you to everybody who posted, watched Front Porch Forum to look for, you know, any confusion or misinformation that might be out there about it. I think we did less public outreach than we did last year, but we were able to leverage the site that we already had. Thank you, David, for getting that updated quickly right at the beginning, because I think for voters, perhaps an annoyance, but probably not a big decision, continuation from last year. So whatever we did seems to have worked, and thanks for everybody's efforts.
From the outside, I don't think it looks like we did any less outreach. I think
it was effort, maybe.
It was left effort, perhaps, because we had the spreadsheet to organize ourselves to like do the Front Porch Forums. You know,
that's true.
I have the relationship with Jason that, like, you know, he basically gave me the invite to do the letter to the editor. There were like 3 other letters to the editor on votes. It felt like we were pretty like consistent. I see Tim, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I may have missed it, but what was the final vote tally on that?
Oh, are you,
Do you see the screen?
am I
share?
successfully sharing my screen? Are you seeing the town meeting unofficial
Doesn't look
results?
like you are.
Yeah, it's up on the screen.
Oh,
So it was 1,830 passed to
So
571 no's.
Okay,
It's right down at the bottom here.
got it, thank you.
The half cent tax for environmental reserve fund, 1830, 571.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it comes out to 76%. Last year it was 75%.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's great. So I think, you know, the work, I think, just needs to sort of continue in a different way.
And try to get ahead of it this year.
Yeah, I think that'll start coming up with
These are fascinating to look at.
It was at 76% is your margin.
Sherry, my wife, is on the board of trustees. She was working hard on that library.
I'm sure she was.
So she was happy. All right, let's.
My kids were stuck.
Yes, library is gonna be better.
No, I'm so too.
Yeah. All right, so Reed and Dave, I think you guys wanted to lead this active strategy discussion.
I guess I can just say briefly, so let me share one more. We created this shared brainstorming document for members of the commission to list out examples of active initiatives that ERF funding could be leveraged to pursue. And the idea is that you can identify initiatives that would advance conservation goals of the town, even better if they're conservation goals that align in some way with the town plan goal, but trying to get concrete, because that's what the active strategy is all about. And just reminding folks that the reason we're calling this the active strategy is to contrast with the primary strategy by which conservation has been done in the town in the past, which is waiting for opportunities to come up and then taking advantage of those opportunities. And that really is the primary way that a lot of conservation has been done historically. It is a necessary strategy, but if paired with an active strategy, you can more effectively achieve the actual goals. Because if you're only ever waiting for opportunities to come up, you end up with kind of hodgepodge patchwork. You're unable to complete trail connections. You're unable to connect, contiguous habitat blocks and things like that. So we put a couple kind of seed examples on here just to start, things like expanding the crosstown trail and using ERF funds to acquire new easements to make that possible. Identifying specific natural features that have long been known in town but aren't fully protected, such as the glacial spillway, and working with local landowners to try to expand protections for those features, and others. So the idea here is that this is a shared document and that you can all add ideas and we can sort of grow this list or library of options the Conservation Commission can review and add to yearly and kind of build out really this menu that can really serve the town over time in terms of like, here are all of these initiatives that we can pursue. And now we can kind of prioritize these and match ones that make the most sense to fit with the Conservation Commission's current goals, the town plan's current goals, and all of the above. So that's what this document was.
We could also take the parcels that we had prioritized and like compare them against this, like if we choose certain ones, like which ones help us fulfill the goal. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Sure.
another layer of
Where's
ranking.
the overlap between
Yeah.
the regular prioritization and this?
Yeah, I will say that I think with a lot of these goals, things like acquiring access for Jacob Krantz parcel for Brown Mountain, it may end up being less about
Acquisition
of full parcels and more about acquisition of targeted easements.
Yep.
Which is a lot
Which is a little different.
more cost effective in terms of,
For sure.
certainly in terms of like the scope.
Right.
We could do things sooner, we could do more things off the list if we're looking at easements rather than acquisitions.
But I think it's a great thing that we can definitely look at. So I'll just leave it there. That's what this was. So I just wanted to refresh and bring this. Lynn pointed out that some of the permissions have expired, so I'll review that, make sure that everyone has active permissions. I think they expire every 20 days or something like that.
Yeah, it's like you sent it to us in December and
I've refreshed it a couple times, but
okay. Yeah, it didn't work for me just now.
Okay.
Wait, is that Outlook does that?
We have them on SharePoint.
Strange, it worked for me just now, but okay.
Yeah, it's a little spotty because I've added people piecemeal. When I notice that it's expired for someone, I add them back in, so I think.
Microsoft is so.
Time-bound access.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it also might be the town's tenants settings.
Yeah, I can actually.
Well, I think it happened to my laptop.
Right now,
also,
Eric, Reed,
all the
and
grad
Lynn.
students were like, we can't see the blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what?
And Kim are the ones who currently have access. So yeah, I gotta add back in Dave, Tim and Laura.
Okay, thank you.
Like,
So-
why did it? That's so funny. Like, we like this email address.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
started getting notifications that they'll start expiring. So I don't know if that's something the town did or whether it's just SharePoint.
So with the idea that you want to, so like I think I was the one who put in items 4 and 5, for example.
Yeah,
So do you want us to start building that out to be a little bit more robust? Is that the sort of idea?
Yeah, writing a goal statement, writing potential steps to implement so that the commission can kind of picture like, okay, well, if we said we wanted to work on this, what might that look like? What ideas do we have on how to achieve the goal? I think that gets us to a point where we can do some prioritization between them where there's equal level of detail across the different options. And in terms of why does it like matter when we do this? Like, for instance, we have had 2 recent land transaction activities going on that road by Brownell Mountain, and it's hard to know how aggressively to go after
Right.
easements if you don't know whether it's part of our active strategy that we're currently dedicating funds towards. So, like, yes, we can still take advantage of things that just come up through the passive strategy, but it's a lot more helpful if we're like, oh, actually, we are trying to extend the crosstown trail to Brownell Mountain, and so this fits in this way, and therefore we want to work on it more.
And is this like an internal commission document, or do we need to, if we're calling it a prioritization, does it go to the select board, like?
It's not a map layer like this per se, but if we created a map layer of these are easements we want, or if we wanted to update the trail map with desired trail connections to make sure that we had more clarity and more, I don't know, likelihood of getting those trail easements, when development is proposed, those things might go to the select board, is my understanding.
I think as somebody who has planner in their job title, I do see this as like, this could very much become a part of like a larger document that guides conservation strategy with the town. But I think for now, I'm kind of more interested in getting,
Tool for brainstorming.
yeah, getting the initiatives that most excite this commission onto the page. Because ultimately, if you're going to deliver some examples of active conservation strategy using the ERF effectively to achieve goals, you have to be able to communicate why those goals are the most important, why they matter for the town. And so there's hundreds of things that we could do, including, building trails on easements that the town has, and tinkering with conservation management plans, and all of these things. And we only have the capacity to do a few at a time. And so that's why I think that's why I think the sort of this piece is serving. That's not just a planning exercise that the town is gonna file away in a big document that'll maybe get implemented or not over time, which is still very useful. But right now, I see it more as, let's get some ideas down. Let's do this exercise of kind of putting up the things that you feel most passionate about. And then, let's not have that run on forever. Let's have you pick a couple things and really see if you can make something happen in the next year or two.
Okay, that's helpful context. I also noticed that Eric can't help himself and started editing.
It's good.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a little,
just a little, but it actually raises
just
a
had to
point,
scratch that itch.
raises a point, is that can the ERF be used to actually build, say, like a parking lot? I don't know that it can.
It's something we'd have to look into. There are different rules. I know that, for example, Richmond, the way that they do their fund, people can kind of apply. It almost works a little bit more like a stewardship fund, like for the Catamount Forest. People can apply to that fund to say, we need more equipment in order to do better trail maintenance at the town forest. And that can be funded through their reserve fund. We want to do this project that advances conservation here. So there's stewardship and management along with acquisition. I'd have to look at what our policy says for the ERF. My understanding is that it needs to be in support generally of acquisition. So things like appraisals and studies that support acquisition and direct acquisition. But I don't know if stewardship and management are included in that, but it's possible that if that's something that's desired, that might be a rule change that you could advocate for.
It would be, I think, worth looking into, because certainly if we did get something for either Big Bend or Brownell, a parking lot would need to get built, which would fall under a capital improvement plan, which is very likely not going to be covered under the current ERF acquisition rules, right? So the ERF would very likely require that sort of commitment from the town to put parking lot construction into the capital budget if it's not explicitly allowed within that framework. So like there's a lot of song and dance as far as like municipal governance that would sort of go into it that never probably came up with Catamount because the parking lot was already there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of capital improvement needed at Catamount.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there, I mean, there is precedent for it. I think Sucker Brook is probably the most recent one. I'm trying to think of when that parking lot was built, but yeah, they had to do a scoping study and an engineering design and build that
Mhm.
parking lot.
You know, during all of the like conversations about the mud pond parking lot, the issue was that like we couldn't find a space, not that we couldn't spend the money.
Mhm.
And so like part of me is like, I wonder like. In my head, I'm like, I'm gonna ask Belinda if she had a plan to pay for that, if we were able to. Remember, we were like, do we have an easement on the Cyples land that we can build a parking lot on? Like. We did so much
Mhm.
work trying to figure out where to put a parking lot for that property, and I don't remember us ever being like, well, we don't have the money for it.
What I remember from that, Kim, is that I think we actually had a grant from the state that we ended up having to give back, possibly
Critical detail.
because we
Because we
because we
couldn't find
couldn't
a spot.
find a place and time ran out on the grant.
Do you want to hear the list of things that it can be used for?
Yes,
Yes.
please, thank you, Reed.
Okay,
That's very
the
good.
policy says funds in the environmental reserve fund account may be used to cover expenses as listed below. Acquiring conservation easements to protect natural resources such as wildlife travel corridors, working landscapes, riparian buffers. Acquiring trail easements. Purchasing new land for town-owned parks and conservation areas. Purchasing or acquiring land for renewable energy generation or other alternative uses consistent with Williston's comprehensive town plan. Preparing landscape inventories, surveys, reports, and appraisals. Providing a conservation loan or mortgage such as the Fontaine loan. Paying for land conservation stewardship fees, lawyer fees, etc. And preparing land management plans.
Thank you.
So-
Wait, read that second to
Yeah,
last one again?
Preparing land management plans.
No, second to last, what up?
Paying for land conservation stewardship fees, lawyer fees, etc.
Land conservation stewardship fees.
That's wider latitude than I thought we had in our policy.
Yeah, you two got excited about that. I know that didn't sound exciting to me.
Yeah, that doesn't sound exciting.
I see the stewardship fees as paying somebody to walk the property every year or something like that to make sure that it's being that there's
That
nobody's
this-
using it as a dumping ground, that it's used properly.
Yeah, like paying the land trust for their
Right.
consulting.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not necessarily for infrastructure improvements.
Read
No,
the
not
very first
necessarily,
bullet
but
point
there's.
again. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, not necessarily, but that's still wider latitude than I
It is.
had thought. Several things could fit in the stewardship bucket.
Yeah, and why not let it
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Why not let it?
Reed,
if it's there?
where is that guideline?
So to find it, go to our ballot page. Scroll down to more about the ERF and there's a specific.
Visit the page that we created.
There's a link there that takes you to the signed Environmental Reserve Fund policy. The date on when it was signed. It was signed in 2012 was the last update.
So I can also
Got
just show that the quick way to find the policies for the town. As there are many, but not as much as towns in Massachusetts. Public records and documents,
Maybe just where I grew up.
select board policies. And then you get the big list.
Yeah, I just Googled ERF Williston policy and got it.
There you go.
So-
Thank you, Google.
Yeah, just noting, I don't have time, I don't wanna take time to pull up Richmond's, for example, they list out all the uses that
Mhm.
have ever been for that fund, and you can see like, oh, so-and-so applied to, do this.
Yeah.
Mm.
For example, like the trail managers applied to get equipment recently to help improve their management there. This is a select board policy, so if the Conservation Commission feels strongly that the use of the ERF needs to be amended in some way to achieve the conservation goals of the town, that can be proposed to the select board. Not saying that needs to happen, but just wanted to
Right.
note that.
The policy is signed by the sitting
Yeah,
select
it's
board.
not statute that is
Right.
dictating it.
So if we found something that, like a parking lot, that couldn't be paid for out of town funds for whatever reason,
They could amend the policy.
they can amend the policy.
What I will also say though is that, currently the mechanism by which that would work is, ERF is used to conserve lands. Do all the stuff that's involved with
Yeah.
that, and then the capital fund
Yeah.
for trails and conservation areas, infrastructure is used to create those infrastructure improvements. And that plan that says what the priorities are can be amended at any time. So if a new priority comes up, the funds that have already been allocated to that capital account can be reprioritized.
Who reprioritizes it? Selectmen?
I think it's administrative.
The manager's office?
I believe, yeah, I can simply go through the manager's office.
I wanna save 10 minutes for the next topic within the
Yeah.
subtopic of Brownell access. Specifically, because that was listed, the request. Once we re-up all of the permissions is for people to spend time in this document and sort of putting your best thoughts forward. Whether that's access or conservation or something else that is sort of in your mind. And then I guess the next step would be to have a discussion again about, like, once everyone sort of said like, yeah, that's my best thinking. Then we sort of have a discussion about like what should go to the top and what should sort of stay in the middle ground. I doubt we'll say anything belongs in bottom.
Yeah, right now we're in the divergent phase, like trying to get as many ideas
Sure.
on paper as possible, and then we have to come back together and do some prioritization and
Right.
thinning and maybe combine ideas if there's two that are similar, things like that.
Okay, I think there's urgency to this now that we have, once again, an overwhelming majority of support. And I'd really like to be able to say, next time,
We
Well,
used it this.
we used it
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
did something with it. And, or we have a priority list and it's right here and it's really visible and you can see what is being planned. So let's, I would say let's revisit this next week, just to remind people to do it, and if you find time, maybe so like, what meeting are we in now? It's the
March
3rd.
4.
So do you want to revisit this as early as the 18th, or should we revisit it for the 1st on April? What do people think?
I'm expecting it to take roughly half an hour for a person to read what's been written down and then write down at least a title and a goal statement for a
Right.
new idea.
Great.
That's probably enough for us to then look at it together.
Yeah, I'd say take advantage of the opportunities you have where there's no development review to advance these conversations, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
So let's everyone spend time in it over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll revisit it on the 18th, and we can just, no expectation that we're gonna prioritize anything, but maybe
Familiarize ourselves with everything.
familiarize it and then give everyone an opportunity to explain why they put in what they put in.
And maybe
And
there'll be something there about flood resilience. I don't know. Just don't know.
could be,
Okay, so I'll make
Someone
sure
might
that
add that.
someone might add that.
I'll make sure that everyone's access is updated for that document by the end of today.
Great, thanks, Dave. So then staying in the same topic, we have a specific call out for Brownell Mountain access.
Oh, yeah, just based on the recent development review and kind of conversations that came out of that. There was a discussion of, in the context of the site review, can we talk about trails and easements that are not on that desired trails map? And my take on that, my best understanding is that you can't really, in the context of the DRB review, have those conversations, but you can absolutely start those conversations independently of that. And so Dave and I connected and just realized that kind of brings up the broader question of what is the active strategy? If the goal is, or what is the specific goal with Brownell Mountain? If the goal is we want public access to Brownell Mountain in a way that really enables people to go there that don't just happen to live adjacent, that get to sort of treat it as a private backyard, then what are the options? What are the most realistic options? And from that, what are the kind of next steps in terms of are there landowners to reach out to and what to propose and all that? So one small thing that I can actually add to this is it turns out that the town owns a easement
Oh,
on the
telecom,
nope, on the Brownell parcel that was just in discussion. However, there's a reason that it's fairly overlooked. I'm trying to see where I think we have the conservation easements on here somewhere. Maybe we don't. It is an 8 foot by 22 foot easement.
Wait, hang on. An 8 foot by 22 foot.
Yes, at this corner of the parcel.
Wait, shut up, really?
yeah,
Yeah, it is about that big. And it covers public access over the tiny portion of the access road that,
Like for a parking lot?
no, just for use of the existing telecom access road.
Oh, I see.
For the couple hundred square feet for which it overlaps with the Brownell property.
So is that specifically for like town employees to basically?
mm-mm,
No,
No.
so what
Everyone?
this was implemented by the Conservation Commission in 2009 or 2002. I can't remember.
Eric?
Okay.
I was
So we
looking
need,
back
oh,
at
I was gonna
the
say call Gary.
previous
Mhm.
previous records
That
of
actually predates me, believe it or not.
Oh, man.
development in this area, and at one time, all of this land here, all the way to South Brownell Road was in one land holding, owned by the Brownell Mountain or the Brownell family. And so they subdivided between siblings and then subdivided again. And this, these parcels were created. And then during one of those, this tiny easement was established for the town.
so the
Because,
the access road crosses their land?
yes,
Okay,
at the time, the objective was to gain use of that existing access road for pedestrian access to the top
that was
road.
a good idea. We still want to do that.
So at some
Potentially.
point there was a desired trail at that time that was on the town map. At some point that was taken off the town map.
Why?
I don't know.
I remember when the mountain bike group were here and talking about access to Brownell Mountain. And Melinda said it's not gonna work because of Act 250. Do you remember this?
Really?
I remember Vimba coming or fellowship coming
Yeah,
in,
fellowship.
I have no recollection of this, I'm feeling very,
but I don't remember. I believe you, and that, I mean, Act 250 is a bear.
Mm,
Why would Act 250 be triggered for mountain bike trails?
Well, if you want to develop new trails on a parcel that has an Act 250 permit, you have to apply for an application to build those new trails, and it
This
is.
has Act 250?
I don't know. That's what I'm like. I don't remember that, but if that's
Melinda would know because, yeah, she probably still has that in her head.
like, if Catamount wants to build a single new trail, they
Mhm.
have to apply for it.
Okay. So, interesting result, what is
Yeah,
that?
interesting.
How does this move a needle one way or?
It doesn't necessarily, it's just information. So
Okay.
yeah,
It is
so-
funny that we didn't
Yeah.
have it, like,
Yeah.
would not your fault.
And I didn't catch that because when I looked at the map, it's like it barely registers on our map. It's like a single pixel.
Yeah.
So I didn't notice it
8 by
until I was looking back through these just before the DRB meeting, I was looking back through these minutes from the previous subdivision. And spotted the
Wow.
pedestrian easement. I was like,
So
"What?"
there is value to minutes,
Mhm.
just let it be
Oh, yeah,
said.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So you can, I'll turn this back over to you, but really the kind of question, I think the questions that pertain to access to Brownell Mountain are, what is the appropriate, if you were going to propose an access trail, what is the appropriate place to do that? The appropriate topography to do that? There are sort of existing trails that go up from the north, which is what was recommended way back in the 1990s when a natural resource assessment was done on Brownell Mountain, our only resource assessment for it. And then at some point there was this idea of gaining access to the existing access road. So those are really the two ideas that have been advanced in the past. And what has prevented those from coming to fruition is mainly the easement work that would be required to secure access in this way, and then the parking and access issue.
Can we find out if there is in fact an Act 250?
Yep, I can do that.
Cause I do think that.
I think,
Change.
one of the things that, the applicant mentioned that has stuck with me, and I don't know if it still belongs in my head rent-free, or if we need to actually investigate this, was that it was deeded to the town, and the town decided all those years ago to not create access for it because it was too rugged, because there was maybe it was just trail building at those times, although that seems kind of like unlikely. I mean, they used to just bulldoze everything back then. But for whatever reason, like, is Brownell
Suitable for
suitable
pedestrian
for pedestrian, and if it is, what kind of pedestrian access, and like, should it be a mountain bike trail, or should there be like primitive backcountry ski trails, and only, do it in the winter because the soils are too fragile for anything in the summer? Like, I don't know anything about this, and so it's really hard for me to sort of, if we were to put this on a prioritization map, I would really struggle. Like, I would much rather get access to Big Bend, like,
It's clearly suitable for walking.
and we've walked it, and we've brought like 20 people back there, and it's beautiful, and it's ready to go, more or less. I mean, minus the dirt bikes. And I don't mean mountain bikes.
Right.
I
mean, I guess.
Dave, by a Big Ben, you mean Jacob Krantz?
Yeah. I
He's
don't call it that.
He's willing it to be called that.
Okay.
Just keep calling, if
Yeah.
you socialize
Yeah,
the
yeah.
name, we'll all start.
That's right.
We'll stop being like, oh,
Yeah.
that's in a different part of the country.
Yeah, no.
I mean, like, I think the other thing is like, there is, like, we could be like, there's conservation value and it doesn't have to do with recreation or public access, right? Like,
Yes.
that is not, no active management is still a management decision.
Yeah, in which case, there it is. Right? I mean, it's that could.
Conferring many
Yeah.
ecosystem services.
I just know that as a backcountry ski enthusiast, Brownell Mountain used to be a community ski hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was one of the first community ski hills, like when they were still hauling people up by like old tractor engines.
Oh my gosh, let's put a winch and a
Yeah,
tow
no.
rope. Like,
Yeah, probably.
I thought there was a rope tow there.
There was.
road show?
Yeah.
It was on this side. I mean, it could be what became the telecom cut. But here's your Act 250 permit. It's associated with the telecommunications equipment. Most
Good
likely.
memory.
Yeah, there you go.
Act
That's what I
250
was
permit.
chair. I think that's why.
You were like taking furious notes.
Yeah, so this was to remove an existing tower and put in the new telecom equipment. District 4 doesn't say the year, but we could find all that information is public, so we could dig into it.
Okay.
So there is Act 250.
Only on that one little
Telecom
spot,
little.
but not the Brownell parcel broadly.
It does get a little tricky. You'd have to seek a jurisdictional opinion because when what they look at is what the parcels were like when the Act 250 permit went in. So for example, with Catamount, the reason Catamount's under Act 250 is not because there's an Act 250 permit on the existing conserved forest, but the Act 250 permit actually had to do with their building a lodge on what's now a private parcel that is adjacent to the existing forest, but at the time it was part of the forest. So the whole area is encumbered. Yes.
I have so many
Feelings.
that I'm just
Okay.
use this example in class.
So we'd have to dig into it, but it may be that our parcel is encumbered as well.
Okay, so for the minutes purposes, you wanted to flag that we do have this trail easement. It's a micro easement that would theoretically give us the access from, if we got access from the road, that little easement is supposed to give us access into Brownell.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a nothing, but for example, if you were to decide that, access from Lincoln Road was a priority. And in particular, using the existing infrastructure as much as possible. Then, for example, I could see a strategy that has a high or a likelihood of success, I don't know how high, of working with this landowner. And then engaging with the Rick and Sue Brownell to extend that existing easement a couple 100 feet farther south to route around the telecom parcel.
Right.
So you could gain access with just dealing with two landowners, one of which already has provided a small amount of access.
And
As
this would-
opposed to having to work with the telecom.
And this would already be in their open space, under the new development, so.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's just information,
Yep.
but I think, the broader question is, this kind of popped up because if you wanted, it could be an example of like an active strategy to pursue, to say, okay, this is a priority. Let's get serious about exploring all of the options, figuring out what we think makes the most sense in trails and what's kind of makes the most sense in terms of what's possible.
This is really interesting. The Observer has an article from 2017 that's called Williston's Secret on Overgrown Parks.
Oh, I remember when this came
And-
out and we were like, they're not secret. We're not hiding that
Yeah.
from anybody.
But it does.
I was like, why did they?
It
do
says where to find it, and it says there's no official public access. But people report pulling over on South Brownell and walking onto it. People have gone the Velco access off of 2A. It's good for views, archaeology, and rugged wilderness walking, maybe sledding or backcountry skiing. What's the deal? The town was given 100 some
What's the
acres
deal?
on the north side of the summit in around 1990 as a gift for Renee Chalot. The hill was an 850-foot gain in altitude, according to UVM's website. It was once an island on Lake Champlain 12,000 years ago. More recent history saw it as a private ski hill operating in the 1950s through the 1970s for local families. Currently, there's no developed trail system or official public access. The town has been contemplating having trailheads off of South Brownell Road. So anyway, there you go. There's a good summary
Yep.
from 2017.
I think I remember reading that article.
I'm thinking maybe we should
Yeah.
try to get there.
I mean, I think that there is the possibility, if you look at the topography, there's a possibility that we get
there.
a small parking lot in right at the base. You're working with some slopes, but that if you could do that, it would give you access to what is the existing trails. But again, you kind of have to weigh that with all of the possible options, and there have been several things floated in the past, including could you get access through the a little parking spot off of the power station here?
The time to have done that would have been when they were seeking permits to build that power station, because that's when they're more willing to accommodate those requests.
But I mean, for example, at Katy Hill Town Forest in Stowe,
Yeah.
they created a new access point at an existing power station.
Mhm.
Parking is tiny, but you can, there's a trailhead there.
Okay.
And you can walk around the grid and onto their land. I mean, there's a lot of things that would come with each of these strategies. Here you would need a long access trail, a stream crossing.
But it would be closer to connecting to the Sucker Brook parking lot.
That's what
Right.
I'm looking at on my phone.
Yeah,
Like,
you
how
could
close is
theoretically, I mean, if 2A wasn't, 2A is pretty high
dangerous
traffic,
road.
but if you could put in a crossing structures, speed bumps, lights, whatever. You
Sucker
could
Brook's-
imagine something where you expand the Sucker Brook parking lot.
Mm.
People simply cross the road, walk up the easement,
And you're there.
and you're there. So there are different options that could be explored, and I would see that very much as how an active strategy in a campaign would unfold, is that we start digging into each of these options. At Brownell Mountain, we kind of have, I'd say, essentially three different possible three different main things. Could we go from South Brownell Road? Could we go from the power station? Could it come from the south? most of the other, and we could look into, are there any other possible, options? For example, could we propose purchasing a small subdivision off of somebody's land? So we'd explore all those options, we'd put them on, we'd rank them in terms of their likelihood, feasibility, and then start reaching out to landowners. And that's how you could make a campaign unfold.
I appreciate that picture, David. Yeah. Laura.
Oh, could you get an easement for not just a trail, but for a space for cars, like for a parking lot in a field or something? Can you get an easement for that?
You could lease it. You could lease it.
You could also lease.
Yeah, it's a great question. It might be more of a, lease. I mean, I think the town would be incentivized to purchase a permanent solution.
Especially if you're
I
gonna
would-
invest in building a parking lot with substrate and everything.
Yeah.
It's a really cool idea to think of Suckerbrook as a possible landing zone. I don't know if the parking lot there is large enough, but crossing two is.
It's a bear.
It's a bit, well, I'm also just thinking of that hill too, is that like, that's a blind curve,
Yeah.
basically. I don't like the idea of sending pedestrians across that without.
A bridge.
Yeah, really, or without what you're saying, like, chicanes and lights and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, okay.
Okay.
Brownell Mountain have any trails, old logging roads, anything like?
It
to
does,
work
yeah,
off
it has some existing low-use trails.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just the neighborhood.
Local people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And logging roads and a fire patch.
And
Oh,
maybe,
yes,
maybe a tow
right.
road. Maybe a tow
No,
road.
it says, Eric sent info, it says that they gave the equipment to Cochran's in exchange for allowing members 1 year seasons pass. Which made it easier for people who had bought a seasons pass at Brownell to go to Cochran's.
That's not.
So like, I'm like,
Nice.
I'm like, Jimmy, is that where the roped out Cochrane?
Wow.
They must have a new one by now.
Yeah.
But
But when I was a kid, that might have been the one.
the
that I
one
used.
they have is so fast.
So,
Yeah,
That's how they build racers.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to kind of?
No, I think that was a really good discussion and also helps to sort of put a lay of the land. I also think setting the context for the other assignment around writing up what we think are important. It's clear to me that we're gonna probably have to like do site visits as part of the step of, once we get to that point of trying to prioritize what's worth investing in, we're probably gonna need to go and visit some spots.
The Roto was powered by a blue and white 1960s Plymouth.
Nice.
Awesome.
That could be the one at Cochran's.
I'm so excited that you sent this to me.
Eric, did you
You're
send
welcome.
it to me?
It's in the chat. I don't know if I have do I have your cell phone, Dave? I don't know. Let me look.
This is incredible.
David,
Okay,
that-
so
need
I
to go.
propose.
Yeah.
Just because it's a pretty tight agenda.
I have 15 minutes.
And Kim has to run out, but we jump on to the next thing.
Yeah. We're ready.
Okay, so I just wanted to provide some quick updates on DRB meeting on February 24th. Both the McCullough and the Brownell projects were approved to move on from pre-app. Nothing dramatic with regards to the conversation at with the McCullough parcel, except for the DRB felt like street trees would be appropriate if they're chosen to be species that would be small. So when it comes back to the Conservation Commission, if you feel strongly the opposite, you could still make that recommendation to discuss with the DRB, but that was their initial feeling at the meeting. With regards to the Brownell property, there were a couple things that I uncovered. I mentioned that I went back through the minutes for previous subdivisions. A strange quirk about this project that I didn't uncover before the CC is that the top 6.5 acres of this is actually already conserved as open space.
Uh-oh.
That doesn't impact our the current review, but these two parcels and the top half of this parcel were once a single parcel owned by Brownell Mountain Corporation, which was a sort of family corporation. And that was, when these were created, this chunk up here was designated as permanent open space. And then it was merged with the southern parcel because they're the same ownership, Rick and Sue Drive. We looked into, does that change how we would compute, the current requirement for 75 open space? And the feeling amongst planning staff was that it would not.
Okay.
Sort of create you wouldn't exclude that from the need to have 75% open space. The other thing that was identified before the DRB meeting is we worked with, we met with the applicant, we met with Public Works about their proposal to extend Lincoln Road and give access to these two lots. And it turned out that that is most likely a non-viable proposal.
Why?
Public Works does not have a standard for dirt roads. The sort of policy choice leading that is that Williston is not going to be building any more dirt roads. And the downstream effect of that is if the applicant were to build on their dollar an extension of Lincoln Road, they would have to build it up to Public Works specs. So they would have to build 200 feet of a fully paved, fully curbed road at the end of Lincoln Road.
Which that's gotta be like.
Which is economically infeasible for the project.
Yeah. Crazy.
Other options that were looked into, such as, could they put a private driveway in our right of way, were also rejected.
Really?
And the applicants were also, suggested, would the town be willing to give up that right of way, which was also not likely. So the end result is that the applicants will be meeting with Public Works, working with their engineers to find an alternate solution. They'll most likely include, instead of having two lots, one lot here and one lot there, most likely within that same development area, there may end up with two skinny lots next to each other, which will tee into the existing driveway for access. So the septic fields will most likely be here and here, and the houses will be here and here. I think that's the most likely outcome, but we won't know until those conversations happen in pre-app.
It's so fascinating how like there's like a rule or a policy or a situation that has like nothing to do with the outcome, right? Like, I don't know. But like doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah, the applicant was pretty surprised, from their perspective, it didn't seem like it would be that much. It seemed to them logical that they would be allowed to extend Lincoln Road as a dirt road and simply build that dirt road infrastructure down 200 feet. But yeah, that's sort of the results in the outcome.
Okay.
So we'll learn more about that when they do some problem solving and come back to the CC at discretionary permit phase.
Okay.
So yeah, want to provide those two quick updates, but otherwise those projects are moving on and we're back on track for the next item.
Yeah, any development on the bridge permitting?
The bridge permit, yes, the permitting is so much fun. There's always some little tweak, so we're still so close. And every time I go to just double check that, okay, everything is good. We found like, okay, actually you need to tweak these little numbers. The most recent was I met with Tina Heath from the Wetlands Office, and Tina strongly recommended reviewing the amount of access road space that we had allocated. Not because it might not be what's needed, but because if you end up with a situation where the contractor says, hey, actually I need more space, then you have to go get a permit amendment. So if we basically be taking a gamble if we went as designed, and it might work, it might even have a decent likelihood of working, but if we end up with that situation where the contractor says, actually, like, I can't get my equipment down here with this minimal space that you allocated, then the project's dead in the water till we get an amendment, which could push it out, even longer.
Amendments or
So we felt like it was a better move. I felt like it was a better move to amend the plan to have a wider access space, which just required updating the civil plans, updating the impact numbers, and designating more restoration planting area. So that's being done right now. But otherwise, as soon as that's done, we can get the signatures from the school district and have to check and submit.
That's great.
Cool,
So,
all right. Thanks for that update. As a matter of agenda, I know we're gonna lose Kim. Is it more important that we talk about the orientation package, or is it more important for Kim to hear the executive session?
I. Yeah, I think that's, I probably the orientation package project check-in, I can simply say is just a check-in to see, we had assigned homework at one point, and I
Yeah.
think that kind of fell off, so
Yeah.
just to try to bring that back to people's attention.
Because we were asked to do the ERF again.
Right, so that project can advance, but it's not urgent by any
Right.
means. I also just wanted to call attention to the subpage, so we could definitely table that if
Yeah.
you want to jump in.
Well, let's just do the subpage and then get to the executive session before Kim leaves.
Well, I'm gonna leave in 10 minutes, so
Yeah.
do you wanna?
No,
Okay,
yeah, let's just take a look at the subpage and remind everyone that it's there and what the ask is if there's.
or I can stay for like 15. MD.
Okay.
Would
Well,
you rather jump in the executive session then?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, whatever, I don't know, yeah, let's do it.
tell you what, yeah, let's jump into executive session. We do need a motion, and then we'll revisit the reference library. Please take a look at that link. I'm sure you all did already in preparation for today. But let's not lose sight of that. There are some really great resources on there now. And so I think the idea is just like comprehensiveness, and if there are things that you would like to see added to that page, especially for Tim and Lynn, who are fresh in the committee, there's things you need to see, things you need to have sort of more at your fingertips. That's what we're trying to create here.
All right,
So can I get a motion?
Motion to move into an executive session.
so just a quick reminder on that, so you want to say, having found that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the
Okay.
public body or the town at a substantial disadvantage, we move to enter executive session to discuss
Okay,
a
so
real estate transaction.
what Dave said.
Wait, do we have to read it, like verbatim?
No, it's
No,
good.
that's fine.
Okay.
Laura says, so noted, and then
Second.
second,
Okay,
great, so, all in favor of going into executive session, which will end the public portion of this meeting.
I,
All right,
Alright,
okay, so like we did last time, I will be sending Tim and Eric. And is anyone else online? Nope, yeah, so Tim and Eric, I'll be sending you a link to a separate meeting. I'll end the webinar here, so people can join the webinar. So check your email shortly. I'll send you that link and then we'll reconvene for the executive session. All right, I'm ending this meeting.